All right, first off, want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to the Akim pushing this word in all sincerity and all truth. You know, peace and blessings also to the rest of the 1/3, the men, women, and children whom the Lord has foreordained, to be that remnant who have believed on his name and who will return, to the mighty power, and form, that first dominion, that first resurrection. All right, so unless you're living under a rock, and you have no access to the internet, you should be well aware that Russia has invaded Ukraine in about a week now. And you should also be aware that pretty much all mainstream media outlets worldwide, have demonized, Russia and their actions, and on social media there is, pray for Ukraine hashtags that are going around. But the thing has become so transparent that, you have models posing, a Ukraine model posing with guns, men with board rifles, cardboard rifles, are shown on major news outlets. Also, clear actors, who don't even know how to hold a gun properly, are shown on the news, And with all this happening, you still have people that are just blindly following what's being peddled to them by mainstream media and are just regurgitating them on their own social media platforms, thinking that they know and that they understand what's going on, So I just wanted to get into, something that we touched on at camp on Saturday, and it's propaganda, and the power of mainstream media to shape public opinion and public belief, right? So let's get into it from Britannica. It says, propaganda is the more or less systematic effort to manipulate other people's beliefs, attitudes, or actions by means of symbols, words, gestures, banners, monuments, music, clothing, insignia, hairstyles, designs on coins and postage stamps, and so forth, right? So if you carefully take a look at this definition, right, you realize that everything that surrounds you in this material world, right, was designed to manipulate your belief in some way, shape, or form, right? Why? Because the words that are spoken to you, right, through the television, through, YouTube, whatever medium of communication that you use, whether it's movies, cartoons, TV shows, news, advertisements, gestures, banners, monuments, music, the clothes you wear, the insignia on the clothes you wear, or the products you use, the hairstyles you use, the hairstyles they promote, the designs on coins, postage, everything is carefully crafted, right, to manipulate your belief, your attitudes, and your actions, right? A lot of people don't know the deep level of thought that goes into advertisement, or that goes into the brand or the symbol that they put for a company, or the colors that they use for a logo. A lot of people don't realize that, the media is not owned by some altruistic company that is only there to find truth and objectivity and to serve the good of the people. Every media outlet is owned privately. And if it's not owned privately, it's owned by the state and is used to push state agendas. For example, Russia Today and the news media and the news media in China and Iran, right? They are largely owned by the state and they are used to push state propaganda, right? Those in the Western world are mainly held by private corporations. For example, Jeff Bezos owned the Washington Post and other media outlets, right? These things are privately owned and they all push an agenda, right? Now, let's continue on. It says deliberateness and a relatively heavy emphasis on manipulation distinguish propaganda from casual conversation or the free and exchange free and easy exchange of ideas. Propagandists have a specified goal or set of goals. To achieve these, they deliberately select facts, arguments, and displays of symbol that present them in a way they think will have the most effect, right? For example, I saw this meme or this social media post. It was a drawing pretty much of a big Putin head, with blood dripping down his chin, and a mother pretty much shielding her daughter behind her and holding up her hand to stop Putin. And you see an image like that, and it invokes a particular emotional response, right? It invokes the response of you being angry towards Russia as the aggressor and feeling pity towards Ukraine for being the one who are being oppressed and helpless. These things are not lightly thought up of, right? To maximize effect, they omit or distort pertinent facts or simply lie, and they may try to divert the attention of the reactors, right? The people that they are trying to sway from everything but their own propaganda, right? Which is why if you go on social media platforms, alternative media is branded as conspiracy theorists. You can't go on YouTube and say certain things or your videos get taken down. Matter of fact, when you go to search for certain things, the algorithm serves you the mainstream media. You go to Facebook, it's the same thing. You go to Twitter, it's the same thing. TikTok is not so hardly regulated, but it will soon be, right? But the idea is to feed you, right, with the narrative, right? And if you stop to take a look, there's obviously a narrative, because everybody in the world, every mainstream media outlet in the world is saying the same thing, right? But yet, there was no condemnation for the U.S. when they invaded Iraq and Afghanistan and killed over 1 million civilians, right? There's no outrage by the people know that Israel is attacking, Syria, Palestine. They've been doing this for decades, and there's no atrocities, being mentioned there. Yemen, the people of Yemen are going through a famine, right? They're going through a very tragic time. If you look at even just look at the United States alone. You look at the United States track record, throughout its existence, it has invaded, countless countries over the decades, countless countries, right? So you have to be aware, of Esau's, plans, This is 2 Corinthians 2 verse 11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. So the idea is to make the world see Putin as the aggressor and to see Russia as the one who is at fault, right? To justify then going against them in a war. And that's something that the world doesn't even want, because even Europe, NATO is reluctant to do that, because if they do that, one, that's a major war that they're going to start, right? That's World War III right there, right? And two, they're still reliant on Russia for a significant portion of their energy needs, right? They have to live with Russia on that continent, right? This is not like World War I and II, where wars can be fought and then you recover. This is gonna be, the final war, This is the end all be all of wars, right? A nuclear war is not something that this world can come back from, This will be the end of this world and the beginning of the kingdom of heaven to come, right? And the nations know this, right? This is Psalm 58 and verse 3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Right? And we have to be mindful that in Luke, the scripture said, Satan said that this world, the kingdoms of this world are given unto me, and I give it to whomsoever I will. Right? So if the kingdoms of the world belong to the devil, that means that the people who are ruling the kingdoms of the world, right, they were given that rulership by the devil. So obviously it's the wicked that are in authority. Job 9:24 tells you again, right, that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Therefore, the things that are pushed by a world leader should not be something that you cling to dearly as truth. It can't be, right? These men speak lies, right? Let's move on. This is Proverbs chapter 14, verse 15. The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going. Right? The simple man will believe everything that's being pushed onto him by social media, because you're so distracted anyways that your attention span is so short, right? And it's so weak that anything that is pushed before you're already in such a heightened state of suggestibility, that you just readily take it up, yo. Let's look up that word prudent. So the word prudent here means acting with or showing care and thought for the future, right? So you have to act with care, yo, and thoughtfulness, right? It's like if you're walking in a very fast flowing river, right? You test your footing every time you take a step before you put down all your weight. You're prudent, you're careful, right? That's what you should do before you believe anything that you hear on mainstream media, right? Protege J said it in one of his songs, a few years back. The media is owned, right? So you have to know where you get your news from, right? Let's move on. This is Ephesians 4 verse 14. It says that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine by the sleight of men and cunning craftiness, whereby they lay in wait to deceive. These men lay in wait to deceive. So, brothers in the truth, I don't expect any brother in the truth, whether GMS or not, to be believing, the propaganda that's being peddled to the masses. I don't believe anybody who calls themselves a Hebrew Israelite, whether or not they be in GMS, right? You shouldn't be believing anything that's peddled to the masses by the mainstream media, yo. Nobody should believe that, right? So we shouldn't be children tossed to and fro by everything that comes out on social media or mainstream media. We know the prophecies. We already know the script. So we know what's going to happen. So we shouldn't be swayed, by what Esau pours forth out of his mouth, yo. Right? The scripture says that he goeth forth to deceive the four corners of the earth and bring them to battle. So all of this is part of that deception. And we are above that because we know the script. We're telling him what he's doing. This is 1 John 4 verse 1. Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out of the world. Right? And this goes for doctrines, and it also goes for everything that you hear. Right? Everything that you hear, you're supposed to try it. Don't be hasty to believe every spirit, yo. Right? There are certain things that are just obviously not true. Right? And if you take a second to just pay attention to what's going on, you will realize. Then again, there are a lot of people that are just blinded. The Heavenly Father has blinded a lot of people, and you fallen victim, to Esau's systems, because there are so many different mechanisms that are used to keep people in a heightened state of suggestibility, so that you're easily manipulated. You're putty in their hands. So everything that they say, every trend that goes out, you ride that wave until the next one comes. They tell you what to think. They tell you how to feel, how to act, what to believe, what morals to have, what opinions to have on world events. All these things are peddled to you, and you just go along with it. It's called groupthink. You just go along with it. If everybody's saying it should be true, you just go along with it. The pull and need to conform is so great that you just go along with it. Right? So this is Acts 17 verse 11. These were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind and searched the scriptures daily whether those things were true. So even though these men received the truth, they still went ahead to verify it through the scriptures. Verify. Learn to verify. And it goes again, First Thessalonians 5 verse 21. Prove all things. Hold fast to that which is good. Right? Let's see if we can take a look at that word, prove. Doesn't look like the internet wants to work with me. Okay, here we go. Prove all things.
Strong's G 1381, Dokimadzo. Dokimadzo.
And it says to test, to examine, to prove, to scrutinize. What does that word scrutinize mean? Let's look that up. All right? To examine or inspect closely and thoroughly. Right? So to scrutinize, to see whether a thing is genuine or not. To recognize as genuine after examination, to approve, to deem worthy. So you have to test and examine and prove and scrutinize everything that is poured out onto you by the mainstream media. There are truth among the lies, but you have to be careful. And then again, you have to be spiritual to see a lot of things, that are pushed out. So that's what it means to prove all things. Right? Ecclesiastes 19 verse 4, he that is hasty to give credit is light-minded, and he that sinneth shall offend against his own soul. Hasty to give credit. What does it mean, hasty to give credit? The word credit, if you go to the etymology online dictionary, it says belief or faith or trust, right? So, he that is hasty to trust or to believe is light-minded. You can't be hasty to trust people. Everything that people say, you just take them at face value, right? There's another precept that speaks about friend. If you've gotten a friend, be not hasty to credit him, meaning be not hasty to trust him, right? You wouldn't just get up and just trust somebody just like that off the bat. They have to earn that trust, right? So be not hasty to believe every propaganda that goes out there, right? I believe that was it. Yeah, that was the last precept. Let me just see what they define propaganda as in the etymology online dictionary. It says, committee of cardinals in charge of foreign missions in the Catholic Church, congregation for propagating the faith. Right? And it said the word is properly the ablative feminine gerundive of Latin propagare, which means to set forth, to extend, to spread, to increase. Right? Hence, any organization any movement to propagate some practice or ideology. Right? Modern political sense means the dissemination of information intended to promote a political point of view. Right? Material or information propagated to advance a cause. Right? So that's pretty much what I want to bring out, and I hope this lesson was edifying to his spirit. Forgive me a spirit to this lesson. Till next time, shalom.